You're listening to The Roots, a podcast from Minnesota AMA District 23 ARMCA. I'm your host, Jackie Reese. Let's dive deeper into what makes our district so great. This podcast was prepared by an independent contractor and may not be the views of the Board of Directors of District 23 ARMCA or any of their sponsors or affiliates. Hey everybody, before we hear from Trish, I just want to say a quick thank you to Fly Racing and Spring Creek MX Park for their support of District 23 ARMCA and this podcast. Welcome everybody to episode 29 of The Roots, joined by Trisha Dahl here, flat tracker and road racer extraordinaire. Trisha, we're coming off our first D23 ARMCA flat track race of 2022. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. Finally got some seat time. So felt like the winter lasted forever, and the opener was a huge turnout. A lot of people. Nice to see everyone. Good racing. Didn't crash. Went to work on Monday, so it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I got to hang out with you and watch you guys race, and it was pretty awesome. Like Saturday when I was there, it was over 280 entries, which is a lot, and a very special event, a border battle between Wisconsin and Minnesota. So pretty unique and pretty awesome to see people from across the Midwest really come and duel it out.
Yeah, that race is always so much fun, and so many people, and the District 16 people are so fast. So it's cool to test your skills against them and to see them. We only see them twice a year, so it's really fun.
Absolutely. So I want to get into the Trisha story here. How were you introduced to motorcycling? Where did it all begin?
Um, Really, I loved cars when I was younger, and so I was always like, driving around, going to car meets, and just really into anything on wheels, I guess. And I had an interest in motorcycles, and my brother rode, and he also worked on motorcycles. So I was like 23, and I decided I'm gonna ride. So I was sending him like Craigslist posts of old Harleys and like just weird bikes that were cheap. I didn't know what I wanted, but I know I wanted a motorcycle. So he was like, I don't know if you're gonna want that, but I do have a friend that has a bike for sale. And it ended up being my husband Kyle. So I bought my first bike from Kyle. It was a 1988 FCR 400, and it was just totally a race bike. It was a horrible first bike. Uh, the clutch sucked. There was no blinkers. It was just in race form with some headlight, taillight, and license plates. But it was perfect, and I actually met my husband. So uh, really, I didn't grow up like riding or anything. I just had an interest in motorsports in general. Um, and then I met my husband, and he had amazing friends in the motorcycle community, and it just snowballed from there.
Hmm. You've been really involved with D23 ARMCA on the flat track front. How did you become involved with flat track more specifically?
Yes, so street bikes turned into uh, my husband got into dirt bikes, and then our friend Eric went to Flat Out Friday, and he started getting into flat track bikes. So we rode out to D23 race, and we met Adam Schmidt, which is one of the board members for the flat track. And he was so nice and just told us everything we needed to know about flat track. And then Eric built a bike, and that inspired me to want to ride. So I bought a little XR 200, and I decided I was going to race at Flat Out Friday in 2017. So that was my first ever race, um, first flat track race, first race in general, and I just wanted to try it. And Flat Out Friday was one of those races where you felt like it was uh, just special. And so I thought, like, why not just try it,
How did it go?
So I went out for practice, like the first time I've ever ridden that bike, because we built it over the winter for Flat Out Friday. And so Flat Out Friday was the first time I've ever ridden that bike and the first time I've ever been on a flat track oval. So I went out to practice and I high sided, flipped over, did a total scorpion. My feet like hit the back of my head. I was totally fine, but it was like, all right, so this is what racing's about.
And
Yeah,
that's
and so many great people, and it was such a good time. And literally, I've been hooked ever since.
yeah. That's awesome. And I think it's a testament to like you don't have to be this 4-year-old that grew up riding. You can be 20 whatever and determined and just want to get on a motorcycle and then go do it and go race. Like I think that's a pretty cool aspect to the story.
Yeah, I wonder if what would have happened if I would have started earlier,
Hmm.
but you know, maybe I would have not fallen in love with it as much, or maybe I would have taken it too seriously when I was younger.
Hmm.
So this seems like the perfect timing.
Yeah. Right, and you probably never would have bought that bike from Kyle, and then that whole aspect of your life would have been totally different too.
I know it's totally crazy. Motorcycles have, I don't want to be dramatic and say it's changed my life, but it's done a lot of good things in my life.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the case for a lot of people, right? Like you meet your best friends and even maybe your husband or your spouse of sorts. Like it's pretty crazy and uh, just how good it is for the soul.
It really is. I love motorcycles, and it not just in like a materialistic way, but every time I'm on the track or every experience I've shared with my husband and racing and just being in the garage working on our bikes. Just motorcycles make it just brings you together even more. So I love it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. One of the aspects of flat track racing that I admire every time I go to a race is that it's like a bike show. Like if you are interested in cool bikes of any variety, like flat track has it all for you. Uh, what's it like working on your own bikes, building things, like trying to make this bike as cool as it can be?
It's it's rewarding, um, but it can get a little daunting when you fall in love with motorcycle racing. You tend to buy a motorcycle for everything that you're into. And now we have a motorcycle for street, for racing, for ice racing, for trail riding. And then all of a sudden you have to do maintenance on all of those things. And it gets a little crazy, um but it's such a fun like way to test your skills, and I've learned so much, and it's definitely been nice to have Kyle to mentor me through it too. And he loves when I'm out in the garage with him, so it's a win-win.
That's awesome. So, one of the ways that you've been able to build these bikes is through Royal Enfield's Build, Train, Race program. You started out in the flat track aspect of it before they even had the road race portion of the program. How did you get connected with them, and why is this program so unique and so special?
Yeah, big shout out to Jill. She got on the program, and she kind of, I was connected with her. We were friends. They needed a backup, a fill-in rider, with the pandemic and everything. They couldn't get their rider to come from Canada over to the US to race. So I became a fill-in rider for her for Daytona, and which was totally surreal. And I was not prepared, but I love saying yes to anything that's scary. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. We'll figure it out. Um, so I had to ride her bike. I had to adjust to however she built it for herself, which was awesome that she let me ride her bike. And we went to Florida. We raced at a pro race, which was crazy. And me and Jill have those memories, which is awesome. And then they had talks about a road race the next year, and as soon as Bree brought it up, um, I immediately applied, and rest is history.
Why did they feel the need to expand their program? Just the success of it, or what about it made them able, maybe even, to expand the program into road racing as well?
Yeah, it gained a lot of traction. Jill's bike was built beautifully, and I think that was a huge testament to what this bike is capable of. And then I think a lot of people were wanting different style twins for flat track, like hooligan style. Um, and then like SNS was backing them. They had huge companies backing them, which was awesome. And Bree is a marketing queen, knows what she's doing. And I think they wanted to show what the bike can do on the road as well. It did have the GT, the Continental GT had the cafe racer style, and just wanted to piggyback off that and really turn it into a racer.
That's cool. So this bike is the same bike that the flat track girls turn into the flat track race is the same as the road race?
It's pretty much the same. They have the INT 650, and then they have the Continental GT
Mm,
650. It's the same chassis motor, just different stylings of each. One's kind of a touring bike, the other is more of like a cafe racer.
gotcha. And I think something that we shouldn't gloss over here, of course, Jillian and I talked about it, but this is a program for women, and that makes it extra unique that, okay, we're giving all these women bikes and they're going to go off and they're going to build them as cool as they can. And I think that's a really cool aspect of it.
Yeah, that's it's been awesome to get to know all those ladies too. It feels like more than just your teammates, you're actually family because you're building this in your garage and it's really scary. Like none of us know really how to build a bike. So
Hmm.
we have mentors and like Melissa Paris for the road race side, she mentors us, which is huge. But we do rely on each other for like, how are you doing this? How did you safety wire that? What did you do when your exhaust wouldn't clear this? Or what spacers did you use for that? So it's been awesome to have that aspect of it. We're not just like trying to win every weekend. We're trying to get our bikes road race worthy and make sure we're safe on the track too. So it's nice to have each other's back and not just be competitors.
Hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh, Going to the competitive side, I guess here, how'd you do last year? How did it go for you?
I think I did pretty well. The first race was Brainerd, and I was so nervous because I was so looking forward to that race and I wanted to do well, and I knew my whole family was going to be there, and it was also like an emotional mess the whole time. And I actually ended up getting third, which was one of the coolest feelings. I felt like I won it. Like I wasn't expecting to be on the podium, and I think my performance was really good, considering I've never been on a road race course before. And I got to be on the podium at a Moto America event and wear a yellow Dunlop hat and like see all my family cheering, and it's so cool. Like me and Kyle got to have a little moment, and I don't know, I'll forever have those memories, and I'm so grateful for that.
Hmm. That's
And
awesome.
I guess going on to the next race was Pittsburgh, and I got another podium there. I got third and almost got uh, Michaela almost got me, but it was a drag race to the end, which was really fun. And that was a great experience. And then we went to Barber, and it rained all weekend, and didn't think we were going to race, but we got out and we did like a 4 lap quick race, and I got third there as well. So it's not too bad.
No? So is this like a series? Is there like a trophy at the end of the series, like an overall position finish with the Build Train Race program?
We actually did get overall points with Moto America. So
Oh, nice.
technically I got second overall. Uh, so that was awesome
Yeah.
for that. And uh, this year we'll do 6 races. So it's doubled this year, double the amount of ladies and double the amount of races. Um, so I'm assuming we're gonna have another points battle, and it's the real deal. It's kind of scary.
Yeah. That's awesome though. Like obviously it was successful for Royal Enfield to, continue this side of the program that they get to double everything. That's really cool to hear.
It's gonna be so cool to see 15 ladies on the grid. Um, Jill had a race last weekend, and there was 15 of them on the grid, and it was so cool to see like that's it's actually a full grid of ladies, and they all built those bikes. So the 30 of us all built our own race bikes, and Royal Enfield has fielded them, and I don't know any other manufacturer that does that. So that's pretty cool to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super cool and very unique and pretty cool opportunity in these two disciplines of motorcycle racing, and hopefully it can inspire people in other disciplines to do the same.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've talked personally, and you really have your focus now on the road racing side. It seems to be, fueling your fire at this point in time. Why is it so much more fun for you at this point?
Road racing, I never knew I would love it this much. When I first got on track, we went to Grattan to train, and the I guess maybe it's the background of flat track that I have. Um, I know a lot of people with flat track experience are good at road courses, so maybe it's that. I just I've always been really good at like keeping my wheels in line, not getting too squirrely, and the traction, and I've been learning how to GP shift. I love actually, like quick shifting and all that, and um, I just love the way, like the movements of road racing. You just get in a flow. It's almost like you're putting just turns together, and you just have like a math problem in your head. All right, we're gonna do this in turn one. Gonna okay, shift here, turn three. Like it's I love the consistency of it.
Mhm.
Um, and and then I love also hitting the checkered flag and then doing a cool down lap and like seeing all the fans. That's
Mhm.
that's like one of the highlights.
So, like, are you and the team going over all these aspects as a group or as an individual? Like, turn at this portion of the corner, shift here, do this there.
Yeah, our mentor Melissa Paris, she's an awesome road racer, and she's been kind of teaching us ways of, get a track map and kind of, write down what you do in each corner and see what's working for you and what's not. So I'm still learning, but it's been fun to like, okay, I'm in this gear here and I feel good. I'm in that gear here. I don't feel that great. Maybe I'll try this next time. Maybe more throttle out of this turn next time, or more braking in that turn. It's been cool to see the progress as I continue to learn and keep these notes. And so, like this year, going back to Brainerd, it's going to be awesome to compare how I do this year compared to last year. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
So, are you doing this all from memory, or is there some sort of data acquisition from the bike that you're going off of?
it's all memory.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't have anything fancy. I don't have lap timers
yeah.
or anything like that. I'm just trying to keep track of, okay, what gear am I in this turn, and what gear am I in this turn, um, and just trying to focus and get better each time.
Mhm. That's pretty cool. And I think something that might get overlooked a lot, by the more novice racer or more beginner racer of taking these notes and knowing where you're at and thinking about, what settings do I need my bike in? Where do I shift? What do I do? Like, just having those notes and knowing, like you said, what works for you and what doesn't. I think that goes a long way, especially just taking the time afterwards to debrief and really go over your race at no matter what level of racing you're at.
Yeah, it's kind of meditative. Like you get to have a more relationship with your bike, and you get to be more comfortable with where it's at. And especially like building my own bike, it's been helpful. I know what everything is set at, and I know how I want it set. And then like with flat track, it's been nice to keep track of like gearing, and so that has actually, you know, transferred over to my road racing. I can look at gearing a little bit more like it's flat track. I can be like, okay, I usually on my flat track bike I do this. Maybe I'll try this on my road race bike. So I've been trying to just keep consistent with, keeping notes and knowing where my bikes are at. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Looking over your racing career so far here, is there anyone that you've really looked up to or anyone that's been inspiring to you?
Oh man. I definitely look up to my husband. When we first met, he was racing CRA and he made it look effortless. Um, he was novice for a year and then he got his expert plate and he was up front every weekend. And I just loved that was probably the start of I love being at the racetrack. Um, just taking the tire warmers off for him and and just being there to like run over to turn 3 and see how he does and if he's in front. And then um yeah, I think for sure my husband, and then also uh my dad. My dad races flat track now. I don't know if I inspired him or what, but he's racing flat track and he's super fast, too fast. And, he actually won his first race last weekend at
Awesome.
Cedar Creek, which was it was pretty emotional. I don't know, it was so cool.
Hmm.
So I love seeing him just happy. It's like he's a kid again. Um, I hate watching him race though. It's so hard, so scary. But I hope that I'm, that free spirited when I'm his age.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he took the camper down, brought his bike, brought the scooter, was ready to go.
Yeah,
Having a good time. Okay, one other thing I want to touch on about your bike from last year was the paint job. Tell me about it.
the paint job. Yeah. So I wanted something that people noticed, and hopefully it was something different than the other girls. And then I also have always wanted to pay homage to my grandpa. He raced Porsches back in like the 60s and 70s. He had a Porsche 917, and I believe he did one of his cars had the golf theme, and I always wanted to have that golf colored theme. So my friends at Plug's Garage helped me out with that, and we actually found like a Fiat color that was perfect for the golf theme. And I was so nervous because sometimes people do that color scheme and it turns out terribly wrong. Like the blue is too dark, and then the orange stripe turns into a gold stripe, and it just doesn't look right. And then they're like, "Well, what is this supposed to look like?" And then like, like no, really, it's the golf theme. But it turned out so perfect, and I'm so happy I was able to have a little piece of racing history. My grandpa really loved racing, and I'm sure that's where I got it from, and that's where my dad got it from. And so it's cool to kind of keep the tradition alive, and to also race. It goes back to racing at Brainerd. That's where he raced, and I got to race on the same track. So that was so cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's beautiful. Like, it turned out so well. The bike is amazing. So, well done to your
I love
buddies.
it. Yeah, you'll see it in like one light and it looks totally different than like you'll see it in its sunset and it looks like a darker blue, and I just love it so much. I'm so happy I decided to go with the bright blue instead of just like a black or something.
Hmm. Absolutely. So we talked a little bit in the beginning, but my question for you is, how has motorcycling changed your life? We're not trying to be dramatic. Of course, we've made friendships, but anything else that stands out on how it's impacted your life so far?
In every way. uh, when I first wanted to ride, I I don't want to. I don't know. It was life was not that great when before I started motorcycles or got into motorcycles. Um, I just I dropped out of college. I didn't know what I was doing for a career. Um, my parents were losing their house, and a lot of things were happening. And for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about motorcycles. It was, I don't know why. And then I met Kyle, and then Kyle taught me pretty much how to ride. And he had so many friends within the motorcycle community that I immediately fell in love with, and were like, these are my people. And then that turned into, we met all the flat track community, and we felt like, yeah, these are our people. Like, this is who we're like, our friends. And now they are our closest friends. Like, we see them all the time, talk to them all the time. And um, there's not a day where like a part of our life isn't motorcycles, which I love. I mean, like our whole world is motorcycles, and it's brought a lot of things into my life that I didn't know was possible. I My career right now is uh, I'm a low voltage electrician, and I think all the people I've met throughout that have brought me the confidence to have a career like this, and building my bike and the Royal Enfield and all that. I would have never been doing this if it wasn't for going back to that moment of just wanting to ride motorcycles. So it's super cool. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, same. Like all the tough times in my life, like going to the track on the weekend, like that's what saved me. Like that was the saving grace. That's what made everything better. Like, okay, I can deal with those 5 days, for these two or these 2.5, So I totally get where you're coming from, and how much of an impact this has on not only us, but I think everyone that's involved in the community knows how special it is.
Yeah, and motorcycles and racing in general, it really gives you some personal goals. Like for me, I've wanted to stay in shape to keep racing, and you I don't know, you set really good personal goals just so you can get to the racetrack, and um I wouldn't change a thing.
Hmm. In conclusion, Trish, what advice do you have for other D23 ARMCA members?
What advice? Um, uh, if you want to try something, if you have the inkling of, I think I could do that, definitely do it. If it's just riding, if it's trail riding or racing, if I was always a person where I thought I, I'm not that type of person. I'm not a flat tracker, but I always kind of thought like I would like to be a flat tracker. So I'm glad I tried it, because now I can say I'm a flat tracker. I don't know. And then same goes for like this road racing. I don't know, if you want to do that, you should definitely just believe in yourself and give it a try, and do something that makes you, a little out of your comfort zone. It definitely makes you grow as a person for sure. And just have fun. Don't take it too seriously. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? So I always have to tell myself, just have fun.
Yeah, I'm on the same page, and trying new things keeps it fun for me. So, lots of fun. Well, Trish, thank you. This has been more fun, right? Talking about motorcycles, can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And thank you to Fly Racing, Spring Creek MX Park, and BCMX Adventure Park for their support of D23 ARMCA and this podcast. We'll see you in 2 Mondays, and if you haven't already, share this episode with a friend if you really enjoyed it, and especially if you stuck around this long. Thanks for joining us. Catch us every other Monday wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on our YouTube page.